Welcome back, boys and girls. This is Dark Valentine 1984 coming right back at you. I'm going to do a game review on a personal favorite of mine, which is Dungeons and Dragons: The Tower of Doom. Now, this game was released back in the early to mid 90s by Capcom, and I believe, as an arcade game fan, this had to be one of Capcom's best games, besides Street Fighter series. Now, I'm not saying that Street Fighter is all that good, considering I'm a player myself, but I'm just saying that this was just something totally different, fresh, and new from Capcom. And while it has no relation to the board game itself, well, basically, it's no different from Final Fight, except that it's in medieval times, and it's basically with weapons. Well, not to say Final Fight has weapons, so as Final Fight 3 for the SNES, but getting back to the point, I'm doing a review on this game for those who may not know exactly what this game is. Now, as you're seeing, I'm actually playing this. As you see, basically, what's going on here is the story of, well, I'm not even going to really divulge into the story. I'm just going to get to the gameplay here. Now, as you notice, this isn't your normal Dungeons and Dragons game. This has no relation to the board game whatsoever. It is an all-out action game. Basically, you do have your weapons and items and such, but yes, you get one life. You don't get that much energy, as you can really tell at the bottom of the screen here. Also, depending on certain stages, you get to have multiple choices, as you see before you. I think I'm going to head into the town here, and when you head to the town, or really make a multiple choice, the storyline actually changes. There are multiple paths in this game, and if you can beat this game and try to discover those multiple paths, you'll notice that you'll see stuff you didn't see before, because the story practically changes throughout the game. Now, you can grab weapons based on that character. You have 4 characters to choose from. You have the warrior, or fighter as they call them. You have a cleric, you have a dwarf, and you have the elf. Now, basically, the reason why I chose the elf, mainly because not only is she good with weapons, she's also good with items and magic, and she's the most balanced character of all characters on the first Dungeons and Dragons Tower of Doom. Now, you can run, but you have to double tap. The controls may be slightly stiff, but that's really to be expected of a game like this. Normally, this game would normally have 4 players, as you see, but the US version, unfortunately, does not have 4 players. It is not a 4-player game. If you want the 4-player version, you have to go out and get the European version ROM. I'm not going to pretty much say where you got to go, because I don't really support, stuff like that. But if you really want to go find somewhere, do a Google search on Dungeons and Dragons Tower of Doom. There's really a site where a guy actually talks about this game. Well, basically gives a walkthrough of both games so you can get a better understanding of the story. I think his site is called www.fantasyanime.com/Dungeons and Dragons. Though I have no idea why would this be listed on that site. It's way beyond me. But anyway, here's the first boss, and you see I'm trying to free the villagers while he's chunking rocks at me like it's Tecmo Super Bowl or something like that. And basically, you have everything at your disposal. Now, depending on if you chose the cleric or the elf or the dwarf, one of them may have magic, some may have healing. If you notice, the elf chick, she has no healing whatsoever. She's also the somewhat weakest of the bunch, but that's pretty much okay. You can build yourself up over time. Yes, this game has a level up system, but you basically level up in your experience points, and if you die, you lose all your experience points and you have to start over, but you don't lose your level, which is a good thing. If you can pick up more coins, which is SP in this game, instead of Zenny, which is the normal Capcom currency, you basically can go ahead and buy your items. depending on where you go or what stage you've just completed, you'll be able to buy your items for the next stage. Now, you can only hold up to 9 of that particular item, or your spells can only be used up to 9 times, depending on how many times you grabbed it, or depending on your level. Now, you have to be careful. Don't use all of your magic at once, and don't use all of your items, because keeping your items in this game is pretty much on the crucial side. Also, energy, which is located in that blue bar all the way on the right, which is 100 SP, it's very, very scarce in this game. So it's basically all about survival in this game. Now, if you have grabbed the 4-player version, it's real good to actually have more than one person, at least more than one other person playing with you. If you could have 3 of your friends play with you in this game, then it'll be real fun, for the simple fact that not only more enemies come out for more experience, but you also can do team-ups. Well, not exactly team-ups, it's just plain attacks, double teaming. But you can have a lot of fun with this game alone. The one thing that you might not like about this game is the fact that, unlike Dungeons and Dragons Shadow over Mysteria, which is part 2 of this game, this one only has 4 classes. The other one, Shadow over Mysteria, basically has 2 or 3 extra classes that you can choose from, and plus it has alternate costumes for those characters if you happen to press the start button before selecting that character. Also, on this game, once you pick your character, you're practically stuck with that character for the remainder of the game. As in Shadow over Mysteria, if you happen to die, you can select another character. In both games, you only get one character, you only get 1 life, so basically you have to make that count. The other thing that I like about this game is the wide range of weapons you can find just laying around on the ground. The many paths you can take in this game, depending on what road you choose. The level up system that they have, which is based on your experience, which only you can level up at the end of the game, well, not end of the game, end of the stage rather. And basically the design of the way the levels look, the enemies, the character models, this is a true 2D game. This is true classic at its best. A lot of people may not agree with me when I say that this is the way Dungeons and Dragons should have been, and not that raped up version of Dungeons and Dragons Dragon Shard that was released on the PC. That, to me, I've read the reviews on it. A lot of people say it's good, but that's basically a disgrace as to what this game turned out to be when Capcom got a hold of it. Unfortunately, Capcom didn't make a part 3. I'm guessing they lost the rights, someone bought out the Dungeons and Dragons name. I'm really not too sure on the history of that. But if they made a part 3 and they had better animation, trust me, this game will continue to be the shit. And I don't really care what anybody says. This and Shadow over Mysteria would be still forever the shit in any way possible. Even the enemies can, have dialogue. That's if they could talk, really. The one thing that is challenging about this game, back in the arcades, you ended up spending a lot of quarters trying to sit there and beat this game, for the fact that it was more like an adventure. If you played games like Alien vs. Predator, the arcade, or Cyberbots, Full Metal Madness, or The Punisher, basically it was made like those games. And unfortunately, in this day and age, games like that in the arcade don't even exist anymore. And by me being an old schooler, it just kind of hurts me to know that games like this just aren't around anymore. But I'm just glad that it's up for emulation. The best emulator to use for this would be WinCowerX. And you could do a Google search on that if you want, or if you know a place like Zophar's Domain, or other places like that, you can go for it there. But anyway, as you can see, this game is as classic as it's gonna get. Dungeons and Dragons this way should have been this way from the beginning. I'm not hating on anyone who loves the card game or the board game. I'm just saying that this is a Dungeons and Dragons that anybody who loves a beat 'em up game can appreciate, and I would say take time out, go ahead and download this game and give it a shot. If you have friends that you want to play it with, get the Euro version, which is the original version of this game, which is what I'm playing right now. Well, time's up on this video. So this is Dark Valentine 1984 signing out, and the next review will be up in a little while. Until then, take care.